Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to You Can Talk. My name is Ruth Finney, and this is the ABCs of Communicating. And this morning we are on the letter T. And let me see if I can get my phone going here. We're on the letter T and tactfully, however you want to say it, learning how to be tactful in our communication. So what does this mean? What does it mean to be tactful when communicating? Well, basically, it's kind of the same thing as the way the military uses it. Like when they're doing tactical practices and things, they are working to be very careful, to be very intentional so that they avoid danger. They're working to be very precise. And really, when we're communicating, it's the exact same thing. We're working to be careful. We're working to be precise and learning how to deal sensitively with others so that we do not, trying to avoid conflict. So where the military is trying to avoid danger or potential harm, it's the same thing in communicating. We're trying to avoid danger and conflict and causing someone to get hurt. So however you want to look at the word tactful this morning, that's what we want to be. If you are a non-confrontational type of communicator, then this lesson is going to speak to you. And even if you are a very confrontational communicator and you want to learn to be more sensitive, you want to learn to be more impactful, you want to, tone your words down, maybe be a little less confrontational, learn how to be more gentle with your words or with people so that you're not constantly having sort of conflicting battles with people in your communication, then also this lesson will speak to you. Good morning. Good morning, those of you who I see behind the scenes watching. I appreciate you all being here. It is Friday. Happy Friday to you. I'm so happy we have made it through yet another week of life. So I don't take any day for granted. So I appreciate each and every one of you being here. All right. So when we are being tactful in conversating, when we're being tactful in our communication, basically we are being considerate. We're being considerate of others. Good morning, the positive pusher. How are you this morning? Welcome in. Welcome in. It was a late night and an early morning. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Thank you. So we're talking about in our communication this morning. And in the beginning, I won't lie to you, when we are working to be tactful, it can kind of feel like walking on eggshells or a little bit like you're, tiptoeing around conversations. And that can, be a bit difficult at times. But the way I think of being tactful in our communication is being considerate, but it's kind of like riding a bike, to be honest with you. When you were a kid and you first started riding your bike, you were afraid to get on there. You didn't quite know what to do. You would get on the bike and you would sit there, trying to figure out how you were going to get your balance, how you were going to keep your feet, your legs, your body up underneath you. And then you would start, trying to pedal, and it would be difficult trying to, keep everything in motion at the same time and keep in balance and a sense of control over the bike. And you would fall several times, maybe you would struggle just trying to, keep moving and stay on the bike. So, and it took practice after practice after practice, but you were motivated because you knew that it was something that would be beneficial to you, that it would be fun, that you would be able to go further, that you would be able to do more things. And communicating is really the same way. Once we get in the rhythm of learning how to communicate with people and what level of conversation works best with this person and that person. It really is like riding a bike. You get on the same, accord with them, and you're rolling, and things are moving, and it becomes enjoyable. And that's the way conversation should be when we're communicating with people. It should be enjoyable. So really, that's kind of how I like to look at communicating. It was just like when we're riding a bike and being tactful in our communication. It's a little difficult at first, but then once you get on it and once you figure it out, you figure out how to use that with everyone. And everyone you have conversations, you can have tactful, thoughtful communication with anyone that you're speaking to, no matter how difficult they are, really, no matter how difficult they are. I've had to have, conversations with some very difficult people, who are, thank you, who are, not easy to talk to for whatever reason. People come with so many issues. People come with so many things going on in their minds until when they're speaking to us, sometimes they don't even realize, how difficult they're being. And sometimes they do. Sometimes they do know exactly how difficult they're being. But we want to be intentional. We want to develop control, because if we bring a sense of control to the conversation, if we bring a sense of peace and good intentions to the conversation, eventually you will win that person over every time, because it's hard to be mean and ugly or difficult with a person who's not being that way back to you, right? Because now it starts to make you feel a certain kind of way when you're, popping off on someone and they're not responding back to you in that same manner. And so typically people will tend to tone themselves down, calm themselves down, and tone their communication down when we come at them being. So it really is, when you learn how to be tactful in your conversations, you really are controlling the interaction that you're having with the other person. You develop a sense of control over the conversation, which makes us being able to deal with different people. It makes all the difference in the world. So when you can really incorporate some of these things that I'm going to share with you all this morning, and being tactful in your communication, you will notice a big difference in how you're able to interact with others, and especially those who are difficult to interact with, and improve the way they respond, to make your conversations more effective, to make the information that you're sharing with them more well received, and people more willing to listen to you, more willing to work with you, and which makes all the difference in the world. Now, we can be tactful. Being tactful, here's how I want you to make sure you get this. Being tactful does not mean that you can't say the things that you need to say, okay? It's just learning how to say them in a way that they will be better received. It feels like we're tiptoeing. It's just, a lot of times it's just an exchange of words. It's an exchange of the words we're using. It's an exchange of the tone and the way we deliver the words, right? That can make all the difference. You can be saying the exact same thing, getting your point across, but we will change the words we're using and how we're saying it. And it makes all the difference in the world, but yet you're still saying the things that you need to say. And then you'll learn to be more effective. You'll be more effective with what it is that you're saying. So people always tell us to be kind and considerate with our words. Well, sometimes we don't necessarily know what that means. A lot of times people think we are being kind. We think I am being kind. I don't understand what the problem is. But when you have not seen what it means, when no one's taught you, how to use words differently, how to work them together differently, then you don't know how to be kind. You don't know different ways of saying things. And that's what I want this channel to teach you all. If you are not part of the You Can Talk family, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and learn some things and that you can incorporate into your life immediately to help improve your communication and the health of your relationships. Okay. So I want to pick some specific examples of things that we like to say typically when we're upset, and give us some different ways, show you all some different ways that we can say the very same thing. Good morning, Everyday Life with the Kelly girls. How are you this morning? Welcome in. I appreciate you being here. We are getting ready to go over some specific things that we say and some different ways that we can say them so that we can be more tactful in our communication. So like when we're upset, right? One of the very first things that we like to do is use that commanding voice. We need to talk. Get over here. I need to talk to you, right? That's something we always say when we're upset, but we get this commanding or demanding voice and let people know, hey, I need to have a conversation with you. And our tone and our aggression leaves people feeling like there's no option for opting out, right? They're being forced to have this conversation, and they can tell by our tone that it's not going to be a good one. It's probably not going to be a good one. All right, let's see. So what's a different way of saying that, right? What's a different way of saying, we need to talk, get over here, right? All we have to do is change our tone, change the words. Hey, do you have a minute? I need to speak with you. Whole different thing. Or do you have a minute? I have something I need to talk with you about. Or when you get a moment, I need to talk with you about this. Let people know, just giving people your intention, letting people know what it is specifically that you want to talk about can make all the difference in the world. Because when people don't know what to expect, they're automatically on guard. They're automatically like, oh, what is it they want to talk with me about? But if we change our tone, we need to talk versus, do you have a minute? I have something I need to speak with you about, right? That gives people, number one, it takes their feelings, it takes them into consideration, and it gives them an option, right? Because to say, no, can you give me a minute? Can you give me 5 or 10 minutes? Or I'll get with you in just a bit, right? So that gives people some options, and it gives people some care and consideration, that we're taking them into consideration. It's not just all about us. So, and what we want to say and how we're feeling at the moment. Or we could say, are you available? As soon as you're available, let me know when is a good time, because I need to speak with you. We're saying the exact same thing, but we're saying it in a different tone, where the person is being somewhat invited to the conversation, or it's a little bit more welcoming or less abrasive, to where they're less fearful or less hesitant to want to come to speak with us. So, or you can say, I need to share something with you. I have something I need to share with you. All the same things, but yet we're saying it just a little bit differently so that it can be well received. It's less commanding and it's a little gentler, right? So taking them into consideration, letting them also have a say in when would be a good time, because we don't know what people are going through, because we often think that what we're feeling is the most important thing at the moment. What they may be going through something as well. And so we have to get to a place where we take people into consideration. So here's another one. What's wrong with you? What the heck are you doing? What were you thinking? Right? Another very aggressive, demeaning, somewhat belittling, judgmental, and criticizing type of conversation. What's wrong with you? What were you thinking? Which can be offensive to people. And like, what do you mean? What's wrong with me? What do you mean? What am I thinking? I'm doing me, right? So people can get defensive automatically, and that wall goes up. So something else that we can say besides that, and you can use whatever words you feel comfortable with, but I typically say I'm troubled, I'm perplexed. You can use whatever words you want to say, or I'm a bit confused, or I'm lost. Help me understand why you did this. Help me understand why it is you said that. Help me understand why that was the route that you took, right? The same thing. What's wrong with you? What the heck are you doing? What are you thinking, right? That is coming across as being judgmental. Yet if we say to them, help me out here. What's going on? Help me understand why it is that you took that route. Help me understand why it is you said those things. Help me understand why you did that thing. Tell me how you came to this conclusion that this was the best thing to say or do, right? We're saying the exact same thing, but again, it's a gentler tone. We're coming across differently, and it leaves the conversation more open to where people are willing to come talk to us and say, oh, well, I was, thinking this, or I thought this was going to happen, or I was under the assumption of this, right? So, and it gives us the opportunity to learn something because we may not realize that they're seeing things a little differently than us. Good morning, Harrison. How are you doing this morning? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Another thing that we can say that we'll say is, I am sick and tired of this. I'm sick and tired of you doing this or saying this, or how much longer, how many more times are we going to have to deal with this? Right. There's another one. There's another one we like to say. Positive says it right. I like to say, help understand what you were thinking when you did this. Yes, whatever they did. Absolutely. Yes. Help me understand why it is you did that. Because we don't know. We often think that our way of seeing something is the only way to see it, because it makes absolutely no sense to us. But yet when we talk to the person, we can find out that they have another way of looking at things that we never even considered. And there's an opportunity for us to learn something that we may not have known. So if we say to this person, I'm sick and tired of this, I don't want to deal with this anymore. How much longer? How many more times are we going to have to do this? How many more times, right? Very common things that people say, and yet that also can come across as being like you no longer want to work on the conversation. You no longer want to work on the relationship. You no longer want to be in this. And we don't want to come across as feeling like we don't want to be in it anymore. We just want to see the situation change. Maybe we want to see the conversation move in a different direction, or we would like to see some improvement in some areas, right? So rather than saying, I'm sick and tired of this, how much longer, how many more times are we gonna have to deal with this? We can come at them a completely different way and say, can I share some things with you that have been concerning me, right? A whole different thing. We're saying something totally different. I need to share some things with you that are concerning me. Can you let me know when will be a good time for you? And then we can say on more than one occasion, rather than saying you're constantly doing this, you're always doing that. You can say on more than one occasion, or on numerous occasions, I notice that this is happening. I notice that you're doing this, or I notice that every time this happens, this decision is made, or we fall into this predicament. And help me understand, because I'm struggling with why this continues to happen, or why this behavior is continuing to repeat itself. I feel like we're going down the same pattern. And I want to know what we can do differently. What can I do? Even ask them, what can I do to help change the situation so that we're not repeating this, or we feel like we're on a rat wheel, right? Doing the same thing, making the same decisions, ending up in the same place time and time again, and beginning for it to feel like insanity, right? Doing that same thing over and over again. When we do this, in what ways can I help? In what ways can I change the situation? Is there anything I can do so that we don't repeat this? That puts us in it. That we talk all the time about being a team player, right? We want to, when we're in relationships, that we're a team, whether it's a work relationship or a personal relationship, if you're married, whatever. We always want together. We always consider ourselves. We like to think of that team mentality. Well, when we come at people like the issue is only with them, and that there's nothing that, and maybe it did start with them. Maybe that is the case, that the issue did start with them, but that doesn't mean that we as a team player cannot help the person that we're on the team with to pull out of that situation, to get out of that predicament, to stop, repeating the same patterns or behaviors or conversations that aren't getting the team anywhere, right? Because if we're working together as a whole, then that means you may have to step in and help the person, versus saying, get your act together. I'm sick and tired of this. Fix yourself, right? That doesn't encourage them to feel like they're on a team, because some people need help. They need assistance. They don't know what steps to take. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to do things differently. And if they're willing, and to listen or to take some suggestion, then we have to be willing to offer it. We have to be willing to offer that, versus saying, take care of this issue. Like, I'm tired of dealing with this, change. Well, sometimes that's not easy for them to do, because they're doing what they know how to do. If they if they're constantly saying something that we don't like, then we need to tell them a different way to say it. Just say, I saw that you did this, and I understand, and I'm learning that maybe this is how you see it. This is how you think this should be. But can I share a different way that you can approach that? Can I share share with you a different way to handle this, or something that might work, something for you to try differently, right? And give them the opportunity to say, sure, I'm all ears. If you know a better way for me to deal with this, please give me some suggestions. It's a whole different conversation. That's two different conversations versus blaming the person. I'm sick and tired of this. I want you to stop doing this and, go take care of it, versus saying, I see this pattern happening. We're repeating the same thing. I want to share with you some things that I think that we can do differently, or things that you can do differently, whatever, and let them know. And it becomes a whole different conversation. Let's see. That's good to say that. I'm going to start saying on numerous occasions, yes, I have seen you do this, instead of saying you always, right? You always, or you never, because the very minute we say you always do this, you never do that, they're going to come right back and tell you the last time they did. And it may be that that at some point that they have done some things, but more times than not, we see them making the same mistake. So on numerous occasions, I've noticed that you're doing this, or repeatedly on, this has happened on, or whatever, however you want to say it, so that we're not continuing to face the same issue. All right. So this shows care and concern, and it puts us in the equation. So like I say, that we're working together and not just expecting the person to do all the changing, to do all the fixing, to take care of the issue. So here's another one that we say. Let's move on to another one. This is when someone is communicating with us and we're like lost. We have no idea where they're going with it. So what you're saying makes no sense. That sounds stupid or ridiculous. I don't even understand what you're talking about, right? We've often said that. I don't understand what you're trying to say. Like, I'm completely lost in this conversation. And people are steady talking to us, steady trying to get us to understand. And we're just knocking them down every time they try to come at us with something. So we tend to cut them off, or we'll, shut them down. And then a barrier is raised. So, how do we handle that? How can we say that different? How can we say something different? We can look at the person. I understand that you're trying to express something to me, all right? I understand you're trying to express your feelings to me. You're trying to express to me the way you see this. Good morning, A Positive Lifestyle. How are you? Welcome in. Welcome. Good morning, Crown G, too. I didn't see you come in. Grand Rising family. Good to see you. Good to see you, Crown G. Please, yes, hit the like button when you come in. And if you are not a part of this talk family, please hit that subscribe button so you can get more and more great tips on how to communicate better with the people that you love, people you work with, and the people that you just enjoy being around. So what we can say is, I realize that we're not seeing this the same, and I'm trying to understand what you're saying, but can you explain it to me in a different way? Right? Because what they're saying, give me some examples if possible, because what they're saying, they're coming at us, they're talking to us, they're repeatedly trying to express themselves, but we're not getting it. They're not making any sense to us. And rather than criticizing what they're saying or how they're saying it, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. Why are you, what are you talking about? Ask them, I understand that you're trying to speak to me, but I'm having a hard time taking in or processing what it is that you're saying. Can you tell this to me in a different way? And try to break it down. What is the issue? What are you emotional about? What is it that you want me to do? Right? Ask them questions to help them get out what it is they're trying to say. This keeps the communication open, because if we show that we're just getting frustrated with people and upset with them, then they're going to shut down. And we want to keep the conversation open, because there may be, information that we really do need to hear. All right. Oh, thank you. Thank you, A Positive Lifestyle. Appreciate your compliment. And we want to continue to have further explanation, and we want to continue to have further dialogue. It's important for us to keep the lines of communication open, especially like when you're dealing with, say, youth or teenagers, right? Because they'll shut down quick if they think that we're not following or understanding what they're saying. We want to, yes, ask, what do you need from me exactly? So they can be trying to say something, that, get something across to us. And because we're not understanding it, we're not realizing that they're actually asking something, or they're actually needing something from us. But because they can't figure out how to express it, they shut down and just forget about it, and then end up, going to somewhere else, or whatever the situation is. And we want to keep those lines of communication open, especially with our young children, or our teenagers, or those young adults. So we definitely want to do that. So here's another one. Get out of my face. I can't stand you. Leave me alone. Don't even look at me, right? This is when someone has come to us. We have had enough. We're full. We're angry. We want no parts of any more of them in front of us. Well, when we come at people that way, we can definitely shut them off and turn them away. And that may not be what we want to do, but especially if this is someone that we care about, or someone that we have to continue to work with. We don't want to shut people out. Now, they may have come at us and said something that did make us upset. They may have come to us and said something that we are having a hard time taking in, and maybe they knew that. But rather than being ugly back to them, get out of my face. I can't stand you. Leave me alone. Don't even look at me. I don't want no parts of you right now. Just leave, right? Those things can come across being very hurtful, and maybe we want to hurt them, but maybe we don't. We're just taking the information they said is just affecting us in such a, emotional or deep way that it's hard to process and look at the person who delivered the information at the same time. We want to, beat up the mailman, right? So rather than, making those statements, we can say, can you give me a minute? Can you give me a minute? I need some time. I need to calm down. I need some space. I need to breathe. I need to process what you just said. I need to wrap my head around the things that you just said. I need to get my thoughts together. This is overwhelming, or I need some alone time, right? We just said the exact same thing, but we said it in a different way, a calmer tone. Yes. Positive says, I would say, can you give me some space? I need some time to process this alone. Yes, absolutely. That is a fantastic way to say that. So we're saying the same thing. Get out of here, get out of my face. We're saying the exact same thing, but we're saying it in a different way that doesn't necessarily kill the messenger, right? So this gets us what we need without causing more harm or hurt or conflict in our relationship. So we get the time, we get the space, but it also doesn't, hurt the person. And then the last one I had was one we actually kind of already talked about, was the all, you always and you never. So rather than saying that, I'm noticing a pattern of this, or I've repeatedly seen you doing this, or on more than one occasion, this has happened, or this is not the first time that something like this has happened. So that way we're reminding them rather than just saying you always or you never, because they're thinking, oh yeah, I did do this before. Oh yeah, I did say that before. Or yes, this has happened before. So rather than saying you always and you never, we can say, I'm noticing a pattern of, or on more than one occasion, or repeatedly I've seen you, or this is not the first time that something like this has happened. This way we're not arguing with them, right? This kind of eliminates the argument of whether or not they always or they never do this. Yes, we need to learn to control our emotions. Yes. And even when we can't control our emotions, sometimes if we can just change the words that we're saying, it can make a difference in how we are able to express our emotions, because we can't always just shut down our emotions. But if we can learn to talk through them in a way that's better received, so that we're not just allowing our mouths and our words, the words that are coming through our emotions, to offend people and hurt people, then we can still express ourselves emotionally without it causing conflict. And that's what being tactful is about. And that's why I say it takes practice, and it can be a little bit difficult at first, because we get used to saying the things that we always say. We get used to talking the way we talk. So we have to figure out, okay, what's the one thing that I want to work on today? The one thing that I want to practice saying. uh, just practicing this one thing versus saying this. And this is how we slowly begin to figure out how to ride that bike, how to get balance, how to keep balance on our bike. And every day we work to incorporate one change, one different way that we can say something. All right. Okay. So, this is how we can be tactful in our communication without hurting people. It's expressing things that we need to say, saying it in a different way, in a calmer tone, and a little more gentler, and to where it can be well received, but yet still saying what we need to, still expressing what we need to express. All right. Okay. Well, that's all I had this week for you all. I hope you picked up at least one little tidbit of something that you can, put into your conversation, one exchange of word. If you can, just a few things, and you can go back and watch the replay if you need to. Find one thing that that you say all the time and figure out a different way to say it, and just start practicing it. Every time that situation comes up, just start practicing it, and you'll start to notice how things can be received differently, and that the patterns of your conversations can begin to change. And over time, you'll be riding that bike, and you can not, feel fear or stress about any difficult person that you may have to face and have a conversation with. All right. Okay. So I'm going to say a quick prayer and then we'll head out for the day. You all enjoy your Friday. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. Father, we just come thanking you this morning, thanking you for those who have shown up to class this morning, prepared, ready to learn how to speak more tactfully. And ultimately, Father, learning how to show care and concern for those that we're in conversations with. Everyone we meet is not going to be kind and loving and easy to get along with or easy to communicate with. But Father, you have called us to be the light, those light bearers. So Father, we have to be the light when people bring us darkness. And when we walk into a room of dark spaces where people are continuously putting out negativity, help us to come in and be tactful, to change the space, to change the conversation, to learn to help control and lead people into better conversations and into the light of your word and of your love. Father, we know that we can do what you've called us to do. So just remind us the importance of glorifying your name in all that we do, even in our conversations and especially in our relationships, so that you receive the glory and that we improve the health of this world, that we improve the health of our relationships with all those that we encounter. Give us the words, give us the courage and the intent to say the things that we need to say in a way that it will be well received. We love you. We thank you. Bless everyone this day. And these things I ask in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So you all have a beautiful day, a beautiful weekend. I will not be doing my live tomorrow night. It'll be Halloween. And so I don't typically do, we don't typically celebrate Halloween like that, but I do actually, try to participate in some activities with my little ones. So I will see you all on Monday. And Monday, I think it's the letter U. Yes, the letter U. And I think I'll be doing, I think it's understanding. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's understanding. All right. So I'll see you all on Monday. You all have a beautiful weekend. I'll be out there in those YouTube streets, popping around in on your channels for those of you who have channels. And you all have a wonderful day. Take care.